Hello Spacelanders! A quick Starfield video for everyone today because while feeling like a galactic explorer is all well and good, some players may want to live their Starfield life feeling like one of the galactic 1%. Penthouse apartments and vacation getaways like Vlad's pad are a nice start, but what about the environment most players are likely to spend some time in? I'm talking, of course, about ships. We will be comparing two luxury ship hab mods, one paid and one free, to prove that you really can take it with you. During the Crimson Fleet storyline, players find themselves on board a huge M-class Trident luxury liner and probably wonder how to get some of that pretentious poshness for their own vessels. Thanks to the Creation Store, you can. The mod is called Trident Luxury Habitats by Grooves Games and adds Deimos-based habs that include hallways, elevators, parks, lounges, crew quarters, captain's quarters, and even a bridge. So if you are ready to fly with the big boys, I have an upfitted ship for you that was a lot of fun to build. The vessel you're about to see is named the Poseidon, but it began life as a vanilla C-Class Stronghold ship available from the Aquila City Technician. The Stronghold is a solid, no-frills transport with cargo capacity, range, and shields for days, but after a Trident Luxury Hab's glow-up, we can have a multi-planetary mogul's gilded galleon in space that even Walter Stroud would be impressed by. FYI, some of the unique exterior structural elements on the ships you'll be seeing today are from the wonderful Avontech Shipyards mod linked in the video description. As you can probably tell, this impressive ship can handle pretty much anything that's thrown at it. Its strong shields and turreted particle cannons don't require a lot of mobility in a fight, and though it dominates the landing pad, Avontech structural ornamentation aside, Poseidon was constructed within the vanilla size and reactor limits, so it's attainable with even the lightest of load orders. With that out of the way, let's take a look inside. I think most players will agree that these habs immediately impress with their expensive textures and design. This is the Trident Habs elevator, and it gives us easy access to all four of the ship's floors. It was instrumental in avoiding any ladders between floors that would have broken up the exquisite detail and luxury feel of these habs. There are 2 and 3 floor versions available as well. A helpful Nova Galactic 1x1 armory brig by Graf, also linked in the video description, serves to illustrate how opulent the Trident spaces feel compared to vanilla. Also on this floor, we have the very well-appointed crew quarters to accommodate all our Constellation friends and more. This includes a generous common area for relaxing, with many detailed inclusions. These were all placed by the mod author, who does an excellent job of immersively populating all the Trident Luxury Hab spaces. And yet, even in a Trident Hab, space bathrooms look like something from an RV. Generally though, luxury is the rule. Granite, artwork, exotic plants, polished stone, attractive wood, and rare collections surround us at all times. Sam's portrait on the wall signals to us that we have reached his quarters, which have an excellent view, and bunks for he and Cora. Just around the way, Andrasia and Barrett share a room, surprise, that has way more bunks than you would expect for someone of Andrasia's antisocial nature. And you have to wonder how she got roped into sharing space with up to 5 other people. Sarah's room is a different story. As the current head of Constellation, Sarah gets exactly the lonely workaholic station we knew she would require. There is more space here given to books than bunks, but I am sure she wouldn't have it any other way. Speaking of practical matters, Trident Luxury Habs doesn't offer any workshop modules for crafting or truly empty hab spaces to convert for this purpose. The 2x1 Trident hallway might do in a pinch, and I suppose the lack of blank slate options could be seen as a shortcoming of the mod. But it's hard to imagine a workshop space that could fit in with the lavish nature of these habs, so the Poseidon simply includes a Deimos workshop off the main crew quarters so that everyone can stay productive. Now let's head up to the second floor, where Trident Habs has a couple of real treats in store. The elevator ride is a nice transition between levels, and we find that the docking port gives easy access to the elevator. But before visiting other floors, guests will probably want to follow the attractive Trident Habs hallways, which are populated with interesting objects and artwork, as we would expect, and lead to the incredible facilities on this level. And the first of those facilities is the Trident Habs Lounge, offering billiards, a full bar, gambling, a see-through ceiling that we aren't taking advantage of in this layout, and a working vintage Earth jukebox, among other things. I am in love with this space, and the way it ensures that visitors and crew are hosted and entertained in high style. Ironically, the RV-style space bathroom is yet again a thoughtful but underwhelming inclusion. On our way out to visit the next impressive Trident 2x3 Hab, let's take a moment to mention the working jukebox with 8 musical options to choose from. Very cool. Maybe at some point someone will come up with a series of 1x1 bathroom Habs with this kind of attention to detail that look like somewhere you'd want to spend time in. Meanwhile, if passengers are looking to spend their time somewhere more contemplative, the Trident Hab's park is sure to satisfy. Stone pathways, sculptures, benches, gardens, and here the glass ceiling is being taken full advantage of, allowing occupants to take in not only beautiful sights, but also the Poseidon's iconic chasm bass figurehead. Because, let's face it, we probably paid for all this with Aurora money. And what ultra-rich neon tycoon wouldn't flaunt their status with an attention-grabbing figurehead for their luxury starship? Okay, back to the tour. The park does not have a monopoly on good views here. This quiet space in the bow of the ship offers a comfortable area for thought and conversation. It also shows that with the right decorations, furniture, etc., the Trident 2x1 hallway is probably adaptable enough to be put to other uses by a resourceful player. This spot has a pretty great view. Returning to the elevator, we make our way to the Poseidon's 3rd level. Upon arrival, we find that it is entirely occupied by the captain's suite. There's only one option here, but it is far from a letdown. Premium luxuries, like this large exotic fish tank, impress visitors. Visitors that the captain can receive with a kitchen, bar, and a conference/dining area. All very posh. If the captain prefers, they can also meet with associates in the very well-equipped office. Clearly, being here does not mean being out of touch with the ship's systems. And now, it is with great pleasure that I present proof that not all bathrooms in space have to feel like porta potties. When this is your throne, it's good to be king. The captain's bedroom is a comfortable one, and offers a commanding view of the spaceport. And apparently no view on this ship would be complete without a glimpse of the ship's chasm bass figurehead, which came from Avontech Shipyards and somehow became a central design element in this whole build. Most of the Habs you've seen so far add little to your ship's performance outside of passenger space, but that changes on the 4th level, where we will find not only a view from our 4-story space yacht, but the amazing Trident Luxury Habs bridge. The bridge adds 8 crew positions, along with 1,000 cargo capacity, and most importantly, it continues the Trident luxury feel into this most crucial of spaces. One very nice element of this space is the cozy office with all the amenities. This is also where you'll find cargo access, the captain's locker, and the decorating panel. Another thoughtful element of the bridge is the integrated armory. This is a practical measure in a galaxy full of spacers, pirates, hostile creatures, and warring factions. Not only does the bridge have everything you need to be mission ready, it has a multitude of crew stations, tasteful decorations, and it has the best visibility in the game, giving us a clear look at everything, including, you guessed it, the Poseidon's chasm bass figurehead. So is there anything else to say? As I think you'll agree, the Trident interiors feel unlike anything else and can unlock a whole new space travel roleplay. But we haven't addressed the obvious. At the time this was recorded, Trident Luxury Habs cost 600 credits from the Creation Store. This price is on par with other custom Hab creations on sale, and considering the handcrafted attention to detail, I personally see it as credits well spent. That said, what kind of luxury feel can we add to our ship Habs without the real-world price tag? To answer that question, we move on to the largest ship I have ever tried to land at New Atlantis. Named after the infamous submarine from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Nautilus is maritime themed for a good reason. Avontech Ship Living by Sgt.Owl is a free mod for PC and Xbox that brings an amazing series of Habs into the game, inspired by Jules Verne's OG piratical anti-hero Captain Nemo. In the spirit of a ship with technology ahead of its time, the Nautilus is packing an M-class reactor, but let me tell you, even on a ship this size, I don't have all the Habs from Avontech Living, because in addition to a Rev 8 bay, crew quarters, captain's study, library, mess hall, cargo bay, treasure vault, and more, Sgt.Owl offers furnished and unfurnished versions of most of the Habs, and you'll have to see them to believe them. So what are we waiting for? Come on aboard. Right away, you'll notice an air of quality, fine materials, and stylish decor. But that is where the similarities between Trident luxury Habs and Avontech Living ends. Permit me a moment of distraction while I show you this excellent Rev 8 bay. But I think you are probably already noticing. The feel here is entirely different. The vibe is darker, understated, nautical, vintage, and even, as you will see increasingly the further we get into the tour, slightly steampunk. The Nautilus of Jules Verne's treasured 19th century fiction was a traveling museum of precious wonders and artifacts, but it was also a working vessel of war. The 3x1 crew compartment we see here perfectly reflects that elevated utilitarianism. But it isn't until we arrive at the fully furnished version of the 2x3 mess hall that we begin to get a sense of the rich and refined taste on offer in the Avontech Living Habs. You'll notice that Sgt.Owl leaves players a little more room to customize than the Trident Habs did. You'll also notice that the darker lighting and darker colors combine with pipes, rivets, and worn hardwood deck planks to evoke the serious atmosphere of a maritime vessel in the steam age. Pairing that anachronistic feel with futuristic elements of space travel and controls for the flat-screen displays might seem like a contradiction, but personally, I deeply appreciate the nuance of a concept like this and the detail with which Sgt.Owl has carried it out. The well-used, well-made quality of everything here. The exacting standards of the gourmet dishes ready to be served. Maybe I'm the only one geeking out here, but all of this tracks so perfectly with the legendarily complicated and cultured persona of the educated, isolated, somber, principled, genius pirate Captain Nemo that I can't help but be seduced by it. And we haven't even seen the good stuff yet. Putting this window here did leave a few detached decorative elements suspended in air that I had to resolve, so it's not perfect, but maybe that's what I get for adding a window in a Hab inspired by submarines. In all fairness, despite a few high-quality vintage items like that liquor cabinet, at this point some of you may be wondering where the luxury is in this luxury Habs comparison. Just bear with me because the second level of the Nautilus is where we'll see it. Okay, put a pin in that. This empty version of the Avontech 1x1 companionway isn't that luxurious, but I wanted to show you what the empty versions were like. But now, I welcome you to a library fit for Alexandria, a hallowed place, a learned place filled with tomes from time immemorial. This, my friends, is a different type of wealth than the flashy Trident luxury habitats, but it is undeniably a flex. With a handy little built-in research lab right here where it makes perfect sense. Thank you, Sgt.Owl. The dartboard and the whiteboard are my doing, just because I could, but the starborn artifacts tastefully displayed here are a perfect continuation of the Space Nemo theme. We'll momentarily pass through the captain's private dining area before entering the study, hi Andresia, an inner sanctum where more precious history is guarded in our private collection. There is too much detail to cover it all, but this area, hi Lynn, does feature a weapon rack and the piece de resistance, a pipe organ. That most memorable and gothic eccentricity of Captain Nemo is here, and it's beautiful. I'm so glad I didn't put a window there. I did, however, manage to put a structural element here that is clipping into the study. That's on me, not Sgt.Owl. The paned glass displays, parquet flooring, heavy antique furniture, chandelier lighting, ornate rugs, classical sculptures, hardwood counters, and priceless relics make clear, I think, why I considered Avontech Habs luxurious. Back in the captain's quarters, we see that Trident Habs aren't the only ones with large aquariums or terrariums, whichever that is. The captain's quarters themselves are modest but comfortable and have captain's locker access, as well as a pretty decent bath and shower setup. Nothing about the Avontech captain's quarters are as ostentatious as the Trident captain's quarters were, but that's because the feel of Avontech is more reserved. I think of it like old money versus new money. Not as bright and shiny as Trident Habs, the Avontech spaces are nonetheless full of elements that could only be assembled by a knowledgeable collector and could only be procured at great expense. Sadly, no bespoke bridge was included with the Avontech Living Habs, so the third floor ladder of the Nautilus takes us up to the docker and a vanilla Hopetech bridge. Since the Avontech Habs are based on Hopetech shells, all of which is explained in the mod description lore, I chose Hopetech for the bridge and its attached companionway, installing workbenches here for convenience. In the end, the no-nonsense Hopetech bridge and docker entry suits the Nautilus. An enigmatic and predatory ship that contains countless technical marvels and priceless treasures of history, but seldom welcomes visitors. In conclusion, the appeal of Trident luxury Habs is broad. The large majority of players will find them attractive. They are richly rendered and richly detailed, bright and open. They feel lived in, despite their immaculate condition. The glass ceilings and elevators are especially unique touches. The bridge is without peer, and I truly enjoy my time on the Poseidon. That is why I was surprised to find myself so enamored with a very different feel in the Avontech Habs. 150 years after Jules Verne wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Sgt.Owl managed through environmental storytelling alone to translate that complicated foundational sci-fi icon faithfully and tastefully into the world of Starfield in a way so nuanced that I found myself immersed. So what kind of luxury do you choose? Will you flash your cash for the fast lane of the bright new, feature-loaded and showy Trident luxury Habs paid creation? Or will you choose the understated opulence of the Avontech connoisseur, peering into the shadows of antiquity to surround yourself with historical significance and timeless quality that only a select few can truly appreciate? Ah heck, I couldn't decide either. With a whole galaxy out there, why travel in only one style? And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos on Bethesda's Starfield and Fallout series. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.